Rahui Katene.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Justice, what role did the alcohol industry play in ruling out an increase in excise duty, bearing in mind the Ministry of Justice analysis notes a rule of thumb is that a 10% price rise results in an approximately 5% decrease in consumption?
Mr Speaker,
the Honourable Peter Dunn.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Justice, none.
Rahui Katene.
Mr Speaker, does the Minister agree with this morning's Dominion Post that, quote, the government, as it did when deciding not to reduce the drink drive level, has opted for the immediately popular course rather than what is best for a country with too many binge drinkers, unquote, and if not, how will the serious harm caused by binge drinking be addressed?
Mr Speaker, no, I don't agree with the Dominion Post. I note that the government has adopted 126 of 153 recommendations from the Law Commission. It's making changes to the laws regarding bar hours, off-licence trading, liquor advertising and the minimum purchase age. Mr Speaker, I think that would constitute a pretty comprehensive response to the situation.
Rahui Katene.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does the Minister stand by his comment that, quote, the pendulum has swung too far towards relaxation of alcohol laws, unquote, and if so, how can government justify the continued liquor exemptions for canteens run by police, the fire service and the Defence Force, permanent charter clubs, cosmopolitan and working men's clubs?
Honourable Peter Dunn.
Mr Speaker, I can't comment on the Minister's reported comment, although I personally would agree with it. But with regard to the second part of the member's question, the focus of the government's response to the Law Commission's report has been to deal with those areas which are deemed to be of prime concern in terms of the binge drinking habits of young New Zealanders, and the circumstances that she mentioned simply don't relate to those situations.
The Honourable Leanne Dalzell.
Does he agree that a minimum price regime would directly target cheap alcohol, which is preferred by heavy and young drinkers, without having a big effect on moderate drinkers? And if so, why did he not include this in the package yesterday? If so, why did he not include it in the package? And if not, why did he say so in the Cabinet paper?
Mr Speaker, again on behalf of the Minister, the government has responded to what is seen as one of the prime areas of use by young binge drinkers, the RTD mixture, with the changes to the minimum alcohol content or the maximum alcohol content, and also the number of standard drinks in a container. And Mr Speaker, we see that as being an appropriate response to the circumstances that the member has outlined.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Leanne Dalzell.
The Speaker was specifically taking this reference to targeting cheap alcohol, which is preferred by heavy and young drinkers. Just to turn to a completely different subject, my question was on price, which was related to the primary question. His question had nothing to do with price at all. His answer.
Here, the Honourable Peter Dunn.
Mr Speaker, the point that I was alluding to in the answer was that RTDs are a common drink used by young people. By changing the alcohol content and restricting the size, one will have an impact on price, which is the point that the member was raising in her question.
What I'll do, because I confess that I did not pick up the exact intent of the member's question, what I'll do, because I think the member was serious about her question, is I invite the member to repeat a question so we can all hear very carefully. Honourable Leanne Dalzell.
Does he agree that a minimum price regime would directly target cheap alcohol, which is preferred by heavy and young drinkers, without having a big effect on moderate drinkers? And if so, why did he not include this in the package he announced? And if not, why is it not in the? Why does he say so in the Cabinet paper?
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, no. And with regard to the second part of the question, there are a number of international studies around at the moment. Let me refer the member to what's going on in Scotland at this stage, where simply the jury is still out on the impact of those measures.
Now, the House now comes back to question number 5.
Point of order, sir.
I beg your pardon. Point of order, Material Tude.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I would like to refer you to Hansard, volume 660, page 8723, where Mr Phil Goff sought leave of the House to table a DVD in which the Prime Minister was discussing GST. That leave was put to the House, there was no objection, and the document, the DVD, was tabled under your ruling, sir.
What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to say to the honourable member, is the House is getting back into the habit of wasting more time tabling documents, and I'm trying to get some control over that, and I do not want to see the House tabling DVDs or CDs or whatever. The standing order provides for documents to be tabled for the information of members. And if members want to widen that to table other things such as CDs, DVDs, they'll need, in my view, to change the standing order. And that's the way I'm interpreting it. And if in fact I've deviated from what I've done in the past, I apologise to the House, but I believe I'm acting with good intent.
Sir.
Well, I'm happy to talk to the member about it privately, but I do want to take the time of the House on something so trivial.
Sir,
Because, let me say why. The standing orders provide for the tabling of documents on the rare occasion where members of this House would benefit from information being made available to them by the tabling of documents. A practice has developed over the years where members make a political statement in asking a question. When the minister then makes a political statement in return, the member then seeks leave to table a document to prove their political statement may have been correct. That is not how question time should be conducted, and I'm not going to support that kind of approach to question time. Now, what I will check for the honourable member is whether exactly when that ruling was made, but I don't want to go back to, the members will recollect there have been times where members have sought to table all sorts of things in this House. And I've managed to constrain it to documents that are not readily available to members. And I don't want to see it expanded again with attempts to table DVDs and CDs and that kind of thing.
Order, Mr. Speaker.
And I don't intend to take the matter further. I'll hear very briefly from the Honourable David Cunliffe and then Material Tuday, and that will be the end of it.
Mr. Speaker, in support of your previous ruling, sir, it might assist the progress of the House, sir, if in giving further consideration to this matter, you might consider whether it's the content of the medium, whether it's the DVD or the document or the piece of paper that might advise and inform your ruling, and in particular, sir, whether the particular content might not be available to members in any other form. For example, in a recording or a television clip which might not be normally available to the House, sir. And so that might, your consideration might conclude that that would be in keeping with certain legislation, sir, which deems that the technology-neutral approach should hold in respect of such matters.
I'll hear from Material Tuday. I promise to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also ask, sir, that given that you have already once before this year allowed for leave to be sought for the tabling of a DVD, that until the issue is considered by you and perhaps with discussion, that you continue to act on your own precedent and allow for the seeking of leave for this DVD, given that it has information that is of use to the House, import to members and relevant to the question concerned. And then if the standing orders or your ruling is to be changed, we then do it later, but that there is equal treatment of all MPs and their right to seek leave to table documents in this House by you, sir.
The Honourable Jerry Brownlow here, but then that'll be the end.
I don't want to prolong things at all, but I think the Honourable David Cunliffe does make a good point. It does go to content. The DVD that is quoted today as having been allowed to be admitted to the table of the House or laid on the table of the House by the Honourable Phil Goff clearly has the engagement of a politician and therefore is of reference or of moment to the House. This is a DVD that has a collection of television ads. So if people want to see them, turn on the button.
Order. I do not intend to take any further time on this matter today. I've ruled on the matter and that is the end of that. And I'm happy to give consideration to my ruling today, but I do make it clear that a document is a piece of paper. And anyone wants to check the dictionary definition of a document, they're welcome to do so. And what's more, if there is information from a video clip that they're easy to get transcripts of what's said on it. I do not want to see this House wasting more time on tabling all and sundry. And the House wastes quite enough time on the political point scoring of tabling documents. That's not what this House is about. This House in question time is about asking good questions.